Why I said it like that? Yo, thank you, Noah. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the biddies. Why Japanese studios aren't laying off staff? You know why they're not laying off staff? It's because they're not paying their staff shit. So they could keep their staff infinitely in their shit while they're making multiple millions. They're paying them crumbs. You said cultural reasons? Nah, bro. I feel like it's because they're not paying them.
Hey everyone, John here. And today, I want to talk about...
This motherfucker got the creamiest voice. Oh my gosh.
Something that's not quite so fun. This is a very serious issue that's been poisoning our industry for a long time now. And that is, of course, the mass layoffs. There's even a website called videogamelayoffs.com that documents every layoff this industry has had since 2022.
Really?
And 2023 in particular is a long and devastating list. There were 10,500 layoffs last year. And what's scary is this year, which is so we're not even a month in, there have been over half of that, 5,900 layoffs in January of 2024. And two big companies are contributing to that. The first one is Microsoft. They just laid off 1,900 employees across Xbox, Activision, and Bethesda.
Damn!
And then Unity, 1,800 employees. And Riot as well, 530 employees. This problem is not solving itself. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. This industry has never been in a worse place. And yes, I am counting the crashes we've had previously. Not even 24 hours prior to the mass Xbox layoffs, Microsoft announced that they are a $3 trillion company now. With Epic Games, they've been laying off so many employees, yet Fortnite is growing year on year. In 2022, Fortnite earned $5.5 billion.
Damn!
In 2023, they earned $5.6 billion.
Damn!
Now that is a growth, but it's not as much as a growth as previous years. And so, to show the shareholders that they're still earning money, they have to lay off employees. They are perfectly profitable. They are more profitable, but the growth isn't enough to sustain the need for more and more money. And it is a devastating prospect that is destroying the AAA industry. However, when you look at this list of mass layoffs, you may recognize something. These are all Western studios. How come Japan aren't here? Where's Square Enix? Where's Bandai Namco? Where's Capcom? Where's Nintendo? Well, if we search Capcom layoffs, let's do that, we can see that they are not immune to laying off staff. In 2022, there's an article right here saying Capcom hit with layoffs, including American senior vice president. But these are all American employees. This is the American side of Capcom. Well, let's do the same thing with Bandai Namco.
You know what's weird? You know what I thought about it? Is it maybe because us as America, we're the type of people to be like, hey, I don't want to work, and then we'll just leave. But anywhere else, like if it's in like Japan per se, they would just stay working. Is that what it is? Maybe because I know over here in the States, like motherfuckers over here, like they'll look for any excuse sometimes to just not work. They'll be like, hey man, I accidentally hit my foot against this wall. I'm gonna be out of work for like 3 weeks with compensation. Zam 100 mentality of working. Pero como? Pero como? Pero como?
Japanese video game giant laying off.
You said Japan does have the workaholic culture. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think that they're keeping them, because they have the workaholic type of mentality. Unlike America, I'm not gonna lie, us in America, we do not have that workaholic mentality as much, because if we get disrespected or some bullshit happens in our workplace, we will just leave.
Headquarters relocation. So again, America. Let's try one more. Let's try Square Enix. So with Square, you can see studios like the Outriders studio, People Can Fly. You can see IO Interactive, who they previously owned. And yeah, these are all American studios. So why is it no one in Japan seems to be laying off staff? Well, it turns out that they can't. And this isn't isolated to the video game industry. There are laws in Japan protecting this stuff. And so when Twitter tried laying off all its staff, Elon tried to fire the Japanese side of Twitter only to find himself in legal repercussions, because you can't just do that. So why can't you just do that? Well, I found this quite depressingly titled article called 3 Ways to Dismiss Employees in Japan. And while that may sound like it's on the side of businesses, it does have some actual insight in there, and let's just go through it. So, you may already know that Japan is very famous for its lifetime employment. If you were to look at the credits for a game like Mario Wonder, you will see some names in there that were responsible for the original Super Mario Bros. Around 40 years ago, and that is not uncommon at all. And the reason for that is you can't just fire someone in Japan. So let's look through this list. So the first one is a negotiated voluntary resignation. You can't just say to them, look, this is not working out, please leave the premises and don't come back, you don't work here anymore. What you can do is suggest to them that they should leave, and you can do that by offering them a lump sum of multiple months' salary, but they have to acknowledge that this is of their own accord. And if it isn't, if they've been forced out of the company, then through legal action, they can either sue or be legally redesignated out of the company to work there again. The employer has no say in that. So if they were of their own accord to leave with that lump sum, then yes, that's fine. But they have to actually be the one to make that decision. The employer can't do that. Another one, termination for cause. And this basically means that there has to be an actual legal reason for why they can't be working here anymore. Maybe they are a criminal. Maybe they've broken the law. Maybe they've done insider trading or something like that. It has to be of that kind of caliber, otherwise it won't hold up in court. It can't just be they missed a few days' work. Maybe it can be that they're absent the majority of the time without reason, then maybe yes, that would hold up in court. But yeah, for the most part, it has to be pretty extreme. And even then, there must be a 30-day notice period for that. And then the third one, which is pretty relevant to this, economic circumstances. And I'm just going to read out the first 2 paragraphs because this is pretty heavy stuff. Layoffs are a rare occurrence in Japan and are only permitted in cases of truly severe financial distress, where the employer can demonstrate that a reduction in workforce is necessary in order to avoid insolvency. In the case of a multinational employer, this necessity is judged based on the employer's worldwide operations, not just its operations in Japan. Even in clear-cut bankruptcy cases, there are further procedural hurdles for the employer to clear. Before implementing layoffs, the employer must make an effort to avoid layoffs by implementing other cost reduction measures. The scope of measures required can vary depending on the circumstances of the employer, but may include the reduction of working hours, reduction of executive compensation, personnel relocation, and solicitation of voluntary resignations. If a terminated employee can demonstrate that alternative cost reduction measures were available to the employer, their termination may be declared invalid. So a suggestion there was a reduction in executive compensation. And if that sounds familiar, that is exactly what Satoru Iwata did in the Wii U era when Nintendo was struggling. Not just Iwata, but other executives like Miyamoto took a pay cut. Iwata cut his pay in half to save the other employees. And to put this in further context, Nintendo already earn a far lower wage than many Western studios. So in 2023, this was reported by Nintendo Life, Furukawa, the current CEO of Nintendo, made $2.51 million US. Miyamoto made $2.2 million US. And this is still a lot of money, but just to contextually put it against some Western studios.
That's what I was gonna say. 2 million for the whole year? Compared to motherfuckers here in the States where if they do something, bro, they get like multiple millions, bro. He only got 2 mil.
Studios. In 2021, Bobby Kotick of Activision made $154 million. And he made double that in 2023. I don't even know what you do with that money for a lifetime, let alone a year. But EA as well in 2021, Andrew Wilson made $34.7 million. So you have the biggest people at Nintendo making $2 million a year, and then you've got people at EA making $34 million a year. And this is just the way it is.
Damn.
So even Nintendo staff, like Satoru Iwata, cutting his salary in half, is still not even a dent in what Bobby Kotick makes a year. Just to put this in perspective of the Xbox layoffs, where 1,900 people lost their jobs, It is estimated that Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, makes approximately $10 million a year. And while this is not of the level of what Activision and EA were making, it is still a lot of money. And if they were beholden to the Japanese laws where you can't lay off people and must make cuts elsewhere, they could absolutely cut Phil's pay in half, by 75%, by 90%, and he'll still be earning more than enough a year. It is worth saying that Phil's pay is definitely lower than a lot of other Western studios, so maybe he's already trying to make his pay less, but still you would save so many jobs by cutting that even more, and there's no way anyone needs $10 million a year. All this is to say that you shouldn't expect to see layoffs at Capcom and Nintendo and Square and Bandai Namco. In Japan, they have laws protecting this stuff. You can't just lay off staff because you're growing but not growing enough. If you're perfectly profitable, then you can't do a thing. First, you must cut costs elsewhere, whether that be...
Damn, but then if you think about it, that would... Because, like, imagine if a person from America wanted to go to Japan and, like, make their own company. What if they wanted to make a restaurant, right? Somebody in America is like, damn, bro, I wish I could go to Japan and make my own ramen shop and shit. Bro, hearing this information will now make you think, fuck, I can't fire anybody necessarily unless I have a valid reason, and I can't lay off anybody. Or if you wanted to start some big business in Japan, you got to keep that into consideration. Because at least as a worker, that's good that you can't get laid off unless they have a valid reason. So honestly, you could just permanently stay working somewhere for the rest of your life. If you come in on time and do what the hell you got to do, you could stay permanently employed and they can't get rid of you. Unless like the whole company just blows up or something, but...
the executive salary or budgets or working hours.
Or you can make them leave. Make them leave, I mean, like, that's true, the voluntary thing, but it's like, you would have to give me a lot of money for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna leave. You know? Like, I wonder what some people would get paid out to just leave. Imagine if they're like, hey, bro, we give you a couple thousands. I don't know. You said, or you can make them leave. Imagine killing them. They're walking home from a late night shift and a bunch of people just run in a van and just grab them and then you never see them again.
So you've done all that stuff. Just firing someone.
Oh, make work conditions bad.
I'm not going
to
make the illusion that working in Japan is a paradise and we should all copy their laws, but this is definitely one that we could do with. All these layoffs are unethical, they're inhumane, and they make no sense at all. People make games, and they're not replaceable. It's definitely true that a lot of these layoffs come from overhiring during COVID, but many of these Activision and Xbox layoffs are people that have been at the company for over a decade, and that kind of talent is irreplaceable, that kind of experience. Nintendo thrive because they have people working there that have been there since the beginning. They understand philosophy and they are tutoring the next generation. And you can't have that if you're just getting rid of people left, right, and center. And what's sad is this is not going to be the end of it. We're already halfway to the same layoffs as last year in just 1 month. And we should expect many more, not just in the video game industry, but tech as a general. It is a scary landscape out there. And I can only hope. Bro, I don't know why on Twitter, first thing I click on my phone, I'm seeing Leffen go through a bunch of drama. Why every couple months Leffen is in some shit? That sometime in the future, we get a law like Japan has, where laying off staff is just frankly illegal. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you next time. He has a very, very nice voice. I love his voice. Like, imagine if this guy were to get into, like, the audiobook side of, like, trying to make money. Bro, he would make so much money. He should do audiobooks and just read them shits. Audiobooks narrated by this guy. Great voice. Very good voice.